I am half Asian, half white, but people think I'm Latina. Since I was 10 or so, people started to comment on my appearance all the time. Most of the time I would just brush it off, but when people are like, "You're Mexican, right?" it makes me upset because it feels like they aren't seeing me for who I am. And when I tell them I'm Asian, they are like, "What, you're Asian?" People shouldn't guess other people's ethnicities and comment on what they think other people look like. What should I do? I'm half black, half white. I'm mistaken for Latina so often that I've spent the last 6 months learning Spanish so I can understand when people come at me with it, which is at least 10 of my random interactions. A lot of people think Mexican people are Asian too. It happens a lot for some reason. Skull from a Korean Puerto Rican. I have no advice, but I wanted to say one of my coworkers is half white, half Latina, but everyone thinks she's Asian. I never asked her. She just told us and everyone was like, "Huh, wow," and moved on. My husband is a native Hawaiian and he looks so racially ambiguous. People think he's mixed black and white. People speak Spanish to him and think he's Hispanic. And even on the rare occasion he tells them he's Hawaiian, they assume he's Samoan. Lol. He just rolls with it though. Lets people assume anything they want, and when he rolls up his sleeves or takes off his shirt and they see all his native tattoos, they feel so bad and ask why he didn't correct them. But he just doesn't really care and doesn't think it's worth his time to correct people. I am Mexican and people either think I'm half white, half Asian, or Middle Eastern bearded. My Korean girlfriend's grandparents just saw a picture of me and thought I looked Viet. No one knows anything, habibi. If you've ever been to Mexican cities, states with large indigenous populations, you will understand why many Mexicans look like and have roots very long time ago in Asia. Most Mexicans that look Asian have a darker skin tone, but some are lighter skinned. When I went, I was 14. I remember asking my dad why so many Asian people live in one of the poorest Mexican states. Lol. He then explained that it's because of the ice bridge from forever ago. You learned about it in school, I promise. My wife is 75 French, 5% Hawaiian, and 20% Korean. When we met, I genuinely would have believed her if she claimed any ethnicity. She could pass for a Latina. If she said she was black, people would believe her. Asian. That too. The nicest way anyone has ever asked her ethnicity was a patient of hers that asked her, "Where did you get that lovely skin tone?" It was so sweet. Melted her heart. What a wonderful way to ask that question. Own it. I'm native. People always ask the "What are you?" I'm 1/2 black and 1/2 white, and for some odd reason that makes me Cuban. Person shrugging, medium skin tone, male sign. Person shrugging, medium skin tone, male sign. I'm Polish and Native American. One get mistaken for being Latina a lot, to the point they'll come up to me talking to me in Spanish and look at me like I'm crazy for not understanding them. Lol, tears of joy. My girl is Latina but people thinks she's Asian. LMAO. I am half white, half Indian, and I get mistaken for Latina as well. All you can really do is wear some ethnic jewelry or SMTHNTBH. LOL. Most people are not doing that to be mean or rude to you. They are genuinely curious about your ethnic origins. It is assuming to call out a specific ethnicity before asking. But most people who do it treat it as asking a question in their minds. It's healthy to talk about ethnic origins. Use it as a teaching opportunity. My stepbrother growing up had the opposite problem. Half Mexican, half white. People thought he was Chinese. Lol. It's bothering you that much, or is it because the Asians and whites are interested in you because you look Mexican? I'm not from Norway, but I don't get upset when people mistake me for a Viking. Racial identification is completely arbitrary and changes from person to person and state to state. You are still who you are regardless of the interpretation of others, because who you are doesn't depend on the interpretation of others. The only advice is to develop a stronger sense of self so that strangers misplacing your race isn't something that bothers you enough to ask the internet how to deal. There's nothing to deal with. Unless of course you don't like to be identified as Latina for some discriminatory reason. I'm only a quarter Asian and white, and people either think I'm just white or Hispanic. I've literally had coworkers talking among themselves one time about what race I was, lol. Hey, same as me, my sister gets mistaken as Latina all the time. For me, people think I'm fully white. It has led to people saying questionable things in front of me. I'm guessing you're a teen based on your username. Eventually, you will learn to laugh it off the same way we have. But I can also understand how it feels to not be seen or like you have a place you fit in. The good news is, mixed race people are the fastest growing ethnic group. So there are plenty of people who can understand and relate. My whole life people try to guess what I am, and it's always very uncomfortable. But yes, most often people think I'm Mexican, but I'm Black, Puerto Rican, and Korean. It's so awkward. I'm Latina and people always thought I was Asian, lol. I'm 90 Chinese from Hong Kong. 100 of people who meet me think I'm Filipino because I'm tanned from working outdoors. Hispanic 49M. I've visited Hawaii and everyone is so friendly because they think I'm a local. My wife is Indian. When we used to live in London, people would talk to her in Portuguese, thinking she's Brazilian. I was an ignorant child. It took a while for me to learn and respect other cultures. With the help of my other friends who were able to introduce me to their own cultures, and then I learned to respect the differences that make us special. I imagine you were 10. They were probably also about 10. And they will think back on their mistakes and just be horrified with the lack of understanding they had. Move to Mexico. Then they think you are local and will never ask your ethnicity. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Italian. Nobody has any idea I am Latino. Please don't feel bad. One time, a whole Mexican family member asked me to interpret their saying to the post office clerk. And I didn't look Mexican at all. What does it matter? Really? Why is everyone the people asking you? And you yourself? So race obsessed? Sounds like you're hypersensitive. Best thing to do is not go outside. Life can be tough out there. What a weird thing to be upset about. YTF do you care what ethnicity you come across as? And you do know you'd still look Latina to people even if they don't guess and say it to your face. People just want to find a reason to get offended. People are too damn sensitive now. I'm Mexican but people think I'm Middle Eastern. I don't care, I just say thank you and move on. I'm half Asian white as well. My last maiden last name is Spanish. Most Filipinas have Spanish last names. And I grew up in Cali. Everybody thought I was Hispanic growing up. Everybody. I never got upset though. I took it as an opportunity to talk about my race. Just politely explain your race. And answer questions they may have. You're never going to stop certain people's assumptions. That's just who they are. That's their issue, not yours. Just keep being you, embracing who you are, living your life. The rest will fall into place. Cheers, all the best. Smiling face with open hands. OMG, same. I'm half Southeast Asian, half white. Sometimes people even talk to me in Spanish and I have to be like, actually no, I'm Asian. I get how tiring it is, but honestly just embrace it. I think Latina women are beautiful and I often see it as a compliment.